In part one of this first module, we're going to cover one of the most important topics. If you can get a handle on this, you will be well on your way to hitting your weight loss goals, improving your health, and reducing your risk of disease, but also improving your mood and your energy and your all-around vitality. Doesn't that sound like fun? Isn't that something that you want? Okay, first let's take a quick look at the health reality of today, and that's that unfortunately many people are plagued by the leading causes of premature death. So what do I mean by that? Do you know somebody who's suffering from cardiovascular disease, or cancer, or stroke, respiratory disease, or diabetes? And the fact of the matter is that we all know at least one person who's suffering from one, if not more than one of these degenerative diseases. Now, studies are showing that these 5 degenerative diseases are primarily diseases of lifestyle, which means that our environment and our lifestyle choices do in fact play a role in our risk for developing these diseases if we can prevent them, and then also if we can reverse them. So if we want to prevent or reverse a disease, how do we do that? We have to look at the underlying issue and what got us there. Now, there are some factors that we might not have as much control over, especially genetics or pollution or radiation or toxins. If we're exposed to those all play a major role in our health. But there are some that we do have some control over. Now, what about stress? Have you ever experienced emotional stress? That's one that we're going to be covering later on within this module, so don't go too far. But the number one thing that affects our health, and we're going to talk about that right now, is your food. It's what we're putting into our body. Now, we cannot avoid eating food. We have to eat food every single day. But what we're eating drastically affects our health. And I know that your nutrition matters at a cellular level, my friend. One of the major culprits in the diet of nearly every American is sugar. And I don't just mean the white powdery stuff that you sprinkle on your cereal. Nearly 80% of all packaged food items contain some form of added sugar. And in fact, there are 600,000 food items in America. So if you look at the food reality of today, is that sugar is hidden in nearly 480 different food items. Now, if you look at the odds of us maintaining our ideal weight and getting the nutrients that we need from our food alone, my friend, those odds are not in our favor. But that's where I come in. So you're going to learn how certain foods affect your body and your health, and quite possibly things that have been sabotaging your weight loss efforts that maybe you didn't even realize. So let's take a look really quickly at what happens in our body when we consume sugar. If there's little to no protein or fiber, our body has no choice but to send that sugar straight to our liver and store it as fat. I don't know about you, but that's not something that I want. So we have what we call a rise in our blood sugar, and we release a hormone called insulin out of our pancreas. And insulin is a fat storage hormone. So let me show you this in another picture. This is called the glycemic roller coaster. As I go through this, you'll probably find that you've been on this red roller coaster, this red cycle, more often than you'd probably like to admit. Okay, so follow me on the red line really quickly. This is our blood sugar, our blood glucose levels. Every time that we consume a carbohydrate, this is what happens on a metabolic level, okay? So our blood sugar is low. Our typical American breakfast, if it's Wheaties or Cheerios, maybe it's a bagel or a muffin, it's typically a high glycemic carbohydrate. So that means it spikes our blood sugar really quickly. So now we're at the top of the roller coaster. Every time we spike our blood sugar, we release a hormone called insulin. We've already talked about insulin, our fat storage hormone. So essentially, what insulin does is it opens up the cells so the glucose or the sugar can leave our bloodstream and into our cells, into our muscles to use for energy. But if we already have enough in there for energy, what's our other option? Fat storage, right? Okay, so insulin pulls our blood sugar down. So now this is at 10 o'clock in the morning where we're starving, we're shaky, we're grumpy, maybe even you get a little queasy sometimes, mental fogginess. What does this lead us to do? Well, now we're looking for a vending machine to find a chocolate bar or Doritos in the morning to tie us over because lunch is still 2 hours away. Well, what have we done? We've spiked our blood sugar again. So now we're on the top of the roller coaster again. When we spike our blood sugar, we release more of that hormone called insulin to pull our blood sugar down, more fat storage. My friend, we've created a cycle here that's an addiction. This is a sugar addiction. This is, in fact, a cycle that's very difficult to break. So when I sit down and I talk to somebody about weight loss, the first thing that they want to talk about is calories. Now, have I mentioned calories at all yet? No, I haven't. Calories are important. However, the source of where those calories are coming from is much more important. And I'm more interested in how much sugar is coming into your body. Okay, so that's the red zone. We know that we want to stay out of the red zone. What about the green zone? This looks nice. Let's talk about the green zone really quickly. A low glycemic diet keeps you in this green zone. This is what I call the fat burning zone. Okay, it fills us up. It keeps us fuller longer. It keeps us full of energy. It improves our mood, improves our sleep habits, reduces inflammation. We lose weight in this section if we have weight to lose. Now, what does a low glycemic diet look like? My friend, it's fresh fruits and vegetables. It's grown from the ground. Okay, so let me drive this home for a second for you. If you're thinking, well, I don't think that I really consume that much sugar, why am I still struggling with weight loss? In one serving of M&Ms, we find that there are 7 teaspoons of sugar. Now, you're probably not going to choose M&Ms for your dinner, but what about a traditional pasta? Let's take a look at that pasta sauce. In one serving, the pasta sauce has more sugar than one serving of the M&Ms. So these are 2 very different food items, but metabolically below the neck, they are the exact same in our body. And what's happening is it's raising our blood sugar, and it's going straight to our liver and being stored as fat. We don't want that. So let's talk about a low glycemic diet really quickly. Fresh fruits and vegetables, don't those look beautiful? Now you have your nutrition strategy and your meal plan within your self-love system manual. So I hope that you've gone through that already. Our goal for this next 4 weeks is to get you off the sugar and to get you onto a low glycemic diet, because we're going to reduce inflammation, we're going to lose some weight, we're going to feel great, we're going to improve your mood, improve your energy, improve your sleep habits, and also reduce your risk for disease.